Industrial action against the terminal operator Patrick, but it still hasn't reached a pay deal. The two parties have been locked in pay negotiations at the Fair Work Commission for the past 2 days. The union wanted to extend the existing agreement, which included a 2.5% pay rise. Patrick offered just over half that amount, along with 50 new casual jobs.
This was rejected today, and frankly, you know, I remain dumbfounded as to what the hell's going on here. We are in a parallel universe here.
We're not in a position of trading off wages for security and employment. Wharfies have worked non-stop through COVID. They've worked non-stop all week and they'll continue to work non-stop.
The matter will go back to the Fair Work Commission later this month. A bushfire survivor has become the face of a campaign urging people not to be complacent this fire season. The RFS and Fire and Rescue New South Wales have joined forces to tell people now is the time to prepare. Bushfire recovery reporter Philippa McDonald has more.
The fire season started in the state's north 2 months ago. Now it's time for the rest of the state.
On the back of losing more than 2,400 homes, 11,000 fires, we need to make sure we can do better.
When you watch the news, you see horrible things happen, but it always seems to happen to other people.
Jim Hughes lost his home in Bateman's Bay on New Year's Eve. He's now encouraging people to prepare for the worst.
To be honest, I didn't think it was going to get as far as it did. I thought we really thought we could stop it from what we'd done to prepare. Was naive.
The fires hit when most were on holidays in areas they didn't know well, and 100,000 called 000.
And the most standout feature from that was people not knowing where they were.
Fire authorities are encouraging everyone to download an Emergency Plus app which offers an exact location. For those in the Central West, West and Northwest, there's the forecast of grass fires. 10% of the homes lost in last season's fires were not in bushfire-prone areas. And now everyone is being told to take 5 minutes and make a fireproof plan with information available in 5 languages. Even though the forecast is for a wetter than average summer, the threat of bushfires remains real. Philippa McDonald, ABC News.
Protests have erupted across India after a young rape victim was cremated without her family's consent. Activists burned effigies of the authorities in Uttar Pradesh, where the attack happened, while protesters were detained in New Delhi, calling for an end to rape culture. The 19-year-old victim was from the lowest rung of India's caste system. 4 men from a higher caste were arrested after she was found severely wounded and paralysed in a field. Politicians have condemned local authorities for cremating the victim without the family's permission. Cardinal George Pell says he's pleased to return to Rome after touching down overnight.
Lovely to be back.
It's the Cardinal's first visit to the Vatican since 2017, when he took a leave of absence to face charges in Australia.
We hate you!
He was convicted of sexually abusing 2 choir boys in the 1990s and had served 13 months of his 6-year jail sentence when his convictions were overturned by the High Court. Pell's arrival in Rome comes as the Vatican is mired in a corruption scandal which has forced one of the Holy See's most powerful cardinals from his job. Next week's federal budget will include a $61.7 million package for the environment. The government hopes the money will also help struggling tourism operators. Here's National Environment reporter Michael Slezak.
Stan Constantaris has been fishing these waters for 45 years.
I can almost remember when I was 5 or 6 years old coming out here with my father and throwing a hand line in and just catching fish non-stop, hand over fist.
Since then, he's seen the habitat deteriorate.
In 45 years, Botany Bay has changed a lot. We've seen port expansions, we've seen runways go in, a lot of development around it.
Now the government will spend $20 million cleaning up waterways by rebuilding specialised reefs.
Part of today is about shellfish reefs, and that's why we're here at Botany Bay, the site of one of the projects.
11 sites will be selected. They'll be picked from a short list of 13 and stretch from Oyster Bay in Western Australia to Noosa in Queensland. The Nature Conservancy will oversee the projects.
They're fantastic fish factories. They're really the nursery grounds of a lot of our coastal estuaries.
An additional $33.5 million will be spent beautifying national and World Heritage sites, including in Tasmania and the Blue Mountains in New South Wales. And $8.2 million is earmarked for the Great Barrier Reef.
And I'm absolutely delighted that $67.1 million will help us spruce up our World and National Heritage places.
But the announcement comes after years of cuts to environment spending. Conservation groups estimate that nearly 40% of the budget has been slashed since the coalition came to power. That's a claim the minister disputes.
Well, that's not right, and I'll leave it to the budget papers in this budget to explain what we are investing.
Well, we'll have to wait and see whether they actually make good on this commitment. The problem with this government is that they're always there for the photo op and they're not there for the follow-up.
The funding announcement comes at a time when carbon emissions, which heat and acidify the water, pose a threat to the shellfish reefs being built.
That's why we work in partnership with universities and scientists to be able to rebuild these reefs in the right locations and focusing on the right shellfish species as well.
Conservation groups hope it will be the start of a greener recovery. Michael Slezak, ABC News.
The Northern Territory looks to take a big hit this mango season and could lose its crown as the largest producer in the country. Weather and worker shortages have been the biggest issues, but plans to expand internationally have also been put on hold because of COVID-19.
Leo Skleros is one of the luckier ones. He's expecting a decent crop off his Berry Springs farm near Darwin, but he says other farmers aren't as fortunate.
There are a few farms that are 30, 40, 50, 60% down.
He says late flowering and high winds are the main culprits. But an early wet season could also spell disaster for breeding disease.
It's still controllable at the moment, but if we get a tonne more, it may become an issue.
The Northern Territory may even lose its crown as the country's top mango producer.
It's not going to be a very high volume year out of the Territory, I don't believe, and probably good with the issues we've had with workers and the amount of people in Australia doing work. There's seasonal workers in the Pacific Islander scheme and backpackers.
Farmers were hoping to establish more international markets for their mangoes, but the implications of COVID may now have pushed that back by years. Australian mango farmers produce 50,000 tonnes of fruit every season, with about 10% going overseas. Fortunately, there's no sign of a slowdown in Australians wanting to get their summer fruit fix, with sales predicted to still be strong when mangoes start hitting the shelves in the coming weeks. Christy O'Brien, ABC News.
Like many businesses working with the tourism and hospitality sector, a commercial laundry operation in Tasmania has been hit hard by the economic side effects of the pandemic. In an attempt to stay afloat, the not-for-profit Blue Line Laundry took a closer look at its staff and discovered hidden talents on the payroll.
Up to 50,000 towels, sheets and gowns get washed through this commercial laundry enterprise every day. That all changed when coronavirus hit Tasmania.
We lost 83% of our customer base and we were really hurting.
As hotels and hospitality businesses shut down, the boss needed to work out how to keep the not-for-profit laundry afloat. Managers reached out to see if there was any untapped potential among the casual factory workers. More than a third of Blue Line Laundry's workforce are people with a disability, and another 20% are from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds. They found 25 workers held 31 bachelor degrees or higher between them.
Any core areas of work that we'd been really struggling to fill the roles from the local employment sector.
A lunchtime chat with her boss opened new doors for laundry hand Manu Kaur.
I told him I have done my masters, double masters, one in India and one in here. And then he just told me, why then you are working as a factory worker?
Manu had previously applied for a dozen IT jobs and been rejected every time. She's now coordinating the laundry's IT systems.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that, yeah. It's really good now.
Marley Yun went from being a laundry hand to taking on the role of team leader of the sewing section. It's put to use the seamstress skills she developed in her home country of Cambodia.
I love this job and now I got my family here too, yeah. I like everyone here, so happy.
Pramila Mahajan has a Bachelor of Pharmacy from Nepal and an IT Masters from the University of Tasmania. She started as a laundry hand in November and is now helping Blue Line's operations manager on a quality assurance project.
It's really satisfying work. I can get administrative things here. I can get to know any Australian work culture. So yeah, I'm getting new experience here.
They're just flying. It's actually really difficult to keep the work up to them. They are so efficient and effective and passionate about what they do.
Selena Ross, ABC News.
And for a look at what's coming up on the business, here's Alicia Barry.
Tonight, manufacturing high-tech industry, more than $1 billion budget dollars to boost jobs, productivity and self-sufficiency. Plus, mortgage deferral time bomb. The clock's ticking on stressed investors as banks start to crack down. All this and more at 8:45 Eastern.
Tonight marks 20 years since the closing